Here is the recap of the first season of Hawkeye. We are shown the past, when in 2012 New York was attacked by Chitauri in the first Avengers movie. The young wealthy Bishop family lives in the city center, and at the moment of the alien attack, Kate, a little girl, was in her room. At some point the wall of the apartment collapses, and Kate witnesses Hawkeye fighting the villains and saving her life. However, during this incident, the girl's father is killed. 12 years have passed. During this time, Kate Bishop, a fan of Hawkeye, becomes almost the best archer in the world, and also wins gold medals in other sports disciplines. At university, she accidentally destroys part of a building after betting her classmates that she can shoot an arrow into the bell tower. Returning home for Christmas, her mother, Eleanor, reprimands Kate for her misdeed and blocks her bank accounts as punishment. Eleanor is the head of a very advanced private security agency, and Kate also works there part-time. She learns that Eleanor is engaged to Jack Duquesne, who himself looks like a rather suspicious man. In the evening, they go to a dinner party, where Kate witnesses her mother arguing with an influential businessman named Armand, who threatens Eleanor. Following him, she ends up at a secret auction, where she sees Armand talking to Jack. At this auction, Ronin's costume and sword are being auctioned off. Let me remind you that Ronin was Clint Barton. When Thanos wiped out half the planet's population with a snap of his fingers, Clint lost his mind and began executing criminals around the world. But when the Avengers brought everyone back, he took off his costume. Suddenly, bandits called Tracksuit Mafia attack the auction and try to steal a specific lot. Later, we learn that it is a clock from the ruins of the Avengers' headquarters. In the commotion, Jack steals Ronin's sword and runs away, while Kate puts on Ronin's costume so that no one will recognize her and fights the villains. While chasing the gangsters, she is distracted by rescuing a dog and returns home with it. Meanwhile, Clint Barton, also known as Hawkeye, is spending Christmas with his family in New York. Not being a superhuman after all the explosions and injuries he has suffered in his life, Clint has almost completely lost his hearing and wears a special hearing aid. He also still can't get over the fact that Natasha Romanoff sacrificed herself in front of him. In the evening, he sees someone in a Ronin costume fighting criminals on the news and decides to investigate. Kate continues her investigation and visits Armin's mansion, where she finds him stabbed with a sword and begins to suspect Jack, as he is obsessed with swords. Soon, she is tracked down by gangsters, but Hawkeye appears and saves Kate. She tells Clint how she got the suit. They go to her home, but the mafia attacks them again, sets the apartment on fire, and the main characters flee. Clint sends Kate home to her mother and returns to the apartment for the suit, but someone has already taken it. It turns out that a firefighter who was into role-playing games did it, and Clint goes to their meeting to retrieve the suit. There he meets the role-players, among whom are many police officers and firefighters. He also sends his family home and tells them that he will have to stay in New York to sort out all the problems. Soon, he deliberately lures the gangsters out and allows himself to be captured. Kate tells her mother that she suspects Jack of murdering Armin and even fights Jack with swords to test his skills. It turns out he is an excellent fencer. Eleanor does not believe her daughter, so Kate goes to find Clint to tell him about her suspicions. She learns that Hawkeye has been captured, unaware that he did it on purpose, and tries to rescue him, which results in both of them being taken hostage. Maya Lopez, leader of the Tracksuit Mafia, comes to talk to Clint Barton and demands that he tell her about Ronin. We are shown Maya's past. She has been deaf and mute since childhood and is missing her right leg. But she is very talented and by her teenage years could handle any opponent in a fight. She and her father worked for a very influential man, but at some point Ronin attacked them and killed her father. Maya swore revenge, and when she saw Ronin on the streets of New York, she ordered her people to bring everyone connected to him. Specifically, Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. Clint fails to convince Maya that Ronin is dead, and they flee from the gangsters. Kate tells him about her suspicions about Jack, and they go to Eleanor's house, because her mother works for a powerful security agency, and for some reason, they have files on almost everyone in America. On Eleanor's personal computer, they find a connection between Jack and the tracksuit mafia. Jack appears with Eleanor, and the main characters have to come up with a reason for why they are there. Kate's mother asks Hawkeye not to involve her daughter in dangerous investigations. He agrees and leaves, stealing Ronin's sword from Jack. In the evening, Kate meets up with Clint and they watch Christmas movies, and he teaches her how to throw small objects with amazing accuracy. Clint tells Kate that they need to get some special arrows and sends her to the role players, because the cops took his arrows and they need to be retrieved from the police station. While Kate is busy with the arrows and also gives the role players the task of sewing them new superhero costumes, Clint goes to Maya's assistant named Kazi. He guesses that Kazi and Maya are close and asks him to convince his girlfriend to stop pursuing Ronin. Clint's wife Laura reports that the watch stolen at that very secret auction shows the coordinates of a certain apartment, and Hawkeye and Kate head there. It turns out that this is Maya's apartment, and she attacks the main characters. Suddenly, a woman in a black suit appears, and when she takes off her mask, we recognize her as Yelena Belova, the Black Widow's sister. You can learn more about her by watching the movie Black Widow. For some reason, Yelena tries to kill Clint, but fails and runs away, and Hawkeye realizes that the situation is taking a serious turn. We learn that after the events in the movie Black Widow, Yelena tries to cure the other widows, as they have been brainwashed. At some point, she becomes a victim of a blip and disappears for 5 years. Upon her return, she learns that her sister Natasha is dead and that Hawkeye is somehow involved. In the present day, Kate returns home to her mother and tells her that Jack is laundering money for the tracksuit mafia. She then returns to her burned-down apartment, where Yelena is waiting for her. She tells Kate that she has been hired to kill Clint Barton and demands that Kate tell her where he is. She refuses, and Yelena leaves, threatening Kate not to get in her way. However, Caitlin manages to sow seeds of doubt in Yelena's mind that it is in her employer's best interest for Hawkeye to die and that he may not be responsible for Natasha's death. Soon, Caitlin returns home to her mother and witnesses the police arresting Jack for laundering money for the mafia. Meanwhile, Clint puts on Ronin's costume and goes to Maya. He defeats her and shows his face. Hawkeye asks her to give up her revenge and also tells Maya that one of her people gave Ronin her father's location. She guesses that the informant is Kazi, since he was not in the building where Ronin killed everyone that day. She also suspects that the influential person they work for ordered Kazi to do it. Caitlin receives a message from Yelena, informing her that her employer is Eleanor Bishop, and also sending a photo of her meeting with the influential individual behind the tracksuit mafia. It turns out to be Wilson Fisk, also known as Kingpin. You may have seen him in the series Daredevil. It turns out that Caitlin's father owed him a huge amount of money at one time, and Eleanor had to work for him. She hired the killer who finished off Armin, and she also framed her own fiancé. However, when Eleanor realized that her daughter was getting too deeply involved in all this, she told Kingpin that she no longer wanted to work for him. Wilson Fisk orders Kazi to kill Eleanor and show everyone who's boss in this town. He also orders his subordinate to kill Maya, as she has figured out that it was Kingpin who ordered her father's murder. Meanwhile, the main characters realize that they need to intervene before the situation takes a turn for the worse. Together with the role players, they go to a dinner party, where they inform Eleanor that she is in danger and discover that Jack has been released. Kazi tries to kill Eleanor with a sniper rifle, but the main characters turn off the lights and begin to evacuate everyone from the building. A whole gang of bandits appears on the street, but Clint and Kate manage to fight them off. Kate goes in search of her mother and runs into Kingpin. He is stronger than her, but she still manages to neutralize him. However, she turns her mother over to the police, as she is guilty of Armin's murder. Meanwhile, Yelena attacks Clint and almost kills him, but he manages to convince her that he is not to blame for Natasha's death, and that she sacrificed herself to save humanity. We also see Maya kill Kazi, and soon after, she encounters Kingpin in an alley, and a shot rings out. However, we are not shown who fired the shot or who died. Clint manages to return to his family for Christmas, taking Kate with him. He gives his wife Laura the very watch from the auction, on the back of which is engraved "Shield," and tells her that it is her watch. This tells us that Laura used to work for Shield. And at the very end, Clint burns Ronin's costume. This is the end of the first season. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the like button. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.